Imagine a land of fire and glory, where dragons filled the skies and sorcerers wielded powers that bent the earth itself. That was Valyria, the greatest civilization the world had ever seen. But in a single day, it all ended. Mountains exploded, the sky turned to flame, and the proud Valyrian Freehold was reduced to ash and ruin. The Doom of Valyria remains the most devastating mystery in George R.R. Martin's world. But who, or what, caused it? Centuries before the Targaryens ever came to Westeros, Valyria was already a superpower. The Valyrians discovered dragons in the 14 Flames, a great volcanic mountain range. With fire and blood magic, they bent dragons to their will, building an empire across Essos. Their freehold was ruled by dragonlord families, powerful houses who each controlled dragons, magic, and wealth. They conquered, enslaved, and reshaped the world. Cities burned, rival nations fell, and Valyrian roads and colonies stretched across continents. It was said their sorcery could shatter stone, bind minds, and even twist the genes of men and beast. But at the height of their glory came their downfall. On that fateful day, the earth itself split open. The 14 Flames erupted all at once. Entire mountains collapsed. Rivers of fire swallowed cities. Ash filled the skies, choking the sun. Earthquakes toppled towers, and the ground opened to swallow armies whole. Dragons screamed as they were torn from the skies, consumed in fire and ash. Within hours, Valyria was gone. Its people, its dragons, its empire, reduced to ruins and scattered survivors. Only the Targaryens, who had settled on Dragonstone before the Doom, survived with their dragons intact. But was this a natural disaster, or something more sinister? The simplest theory is that the Doom was just that, a massive chain reaction of volcanic eruptions. The 14 Flames had always been dangerous. Valyrians had mined too deeply, pulling gems, dragonglass, and rare ores from the fiery earth. Some say their endless sorcery destabilized the land itself. Like the Moria dwarves of Tolkien's world, perhaps they delved too greedily and too deep, and the earth claimed its vengeance. But others whisper of darker truths. Valyria wasn't just fire and steel, it was sorcery. They practiced blood magic, binding spells, and fire rituals tied to the land. The dragons themselves may have been bound to the 14 Flames. Could centuries of reckless magic have built up like a pressure cooker? When the balance broke, it wasn't just fire that destroyed Valyria, but the backlash of centuries of uncontrolled magic. Another theory blames the Valyrians themselves. The Freehold wasn't a kingdom, but an oligarchy of dragonlords. They competed constantly for power, influence, and dragons. Some believe one family, or faction, unleashed sorcery that backfired catastrophically. This would mean the Doom wasn't an accident at all, but the result of hubris, greed, and political betrayal. Centuries before the Doom, the Ghiscari Empire had once ruled the southern reaches of Essos. They built great cities of brick, commanded mighty legions, and worshipped gods of fire and war. But when they crossed paths with Valyria, they met a power unlike any they had ever faced. Dragons burned their armies, sorcery broke their walls, and the Ghiscari fought 5 wars, losing everyone. Each defeat was more humiliating than the last. Their proud cities were reduced to rubble. Their people were taken as slaves. Their gods were cast down and mocked. Even their language was almost erased, surviving only in fragments like High Valyrian and the dialects of Slaver's Bay. Yet the Ghiscari spirit did not die. The priests of Old Gis were said to practice blood magic in secret, swearing vengeance that would one day come to pass. Some whisper that when Valyria seemed invincible, the Ghiscari laid their curse upon it, a spell that might take centuries to ripen but would one day strike true. If so, the Doom of Valyria was not a natural disaster, but the final blow of a fallen empire that refused to die quietly. In that view, the 14 Flames erupting all at once was not chance, but the hand of vengeance reaching across time. And then, there's the most unsettling theory of all, that the Doom came not from men, but from what lay beneath the earth itself. In the world of ice and fire, there are hints that Valyria's power was built on foundations far older than their empire. Beneath the 14 Flames were vast caverns of fire and shadow. Some claim the Valyrians delved too deep, disturbing ancient powers that slumbered below. What were these powers? No one can say. Some describe beasts of flame and darkness older than dragons, imprisoned in the molten heart of the world. Others whisper of nameless entities, ancient alien intelligences whose prisons the Valyrians unknowingly shattered with their minds and their magic. If this theory is true, then the Doom was not merely fire and rock, but something far worse. It was punishment. A reckoning from powers beyond human comprehension. And perhaps this explains why the Valyrian Freehold fell so completely. Cities do not burn so fast, dragons do not die so suddenly, unless the force unleashed was greater than anything men could master. But if the Doom was so total, one question lingers like smoke. Why did the Targaryens survive? 12 years before the Doom, House Targaryen abandoned Valyria and settled on Dragonstone, a bleak volcanic island at the edge of Westeros. At the time, other dragonlords mocked them as cowards and exiles. Yet when the Doom came, it was the Targaryens, and only the Targaryens, who survived with dragons intact. How? The common story is that Dennis the Dreamer, daughter of Lord Aenar Targaryen, foresaw the doom in a prophetic dream. She begged her father to leave Valyria, and he listened. But some whisper there was more. Could the Targaryens have known something others did not? Did Daenerys' dream truly save them, or did House Targaryen themselves play a role in triggering the doom, ensuring they alone would rise from its ashes? Another possibility is darker still. Perhaps rival dragonlords conspired against the Targaryens, forcing them into exile on Dragonstone. If so, that irony is almost cruel. The plot that was meant to weaken them instead preserved their line when Valyria perished. Whatever the truth, the survival of the Targaryens changed history. Without it, there would be no Aegon's conquest, no Iron Throne, no story as we know it. No me making videos about a song of ice and fire. The doom was not just the end of Valyria, it was the rebirth of the world. The Valyrian Empire fractured into pieces, its colonies suddenly free to rule themselves. Braavos, once a city of escaped slaves, emerged as a rising power. The free cities, Pentos, Volantis, Mire, Lys, and others, became rivals, each claiming scraps of Valyrian legacy. Dragons, once plentiful, dwindled to a handful. Knowledge of Valyrian sorcery, once so common, became half-forgotten legend. And into this void stepped the Targaryens. With dragons still alive, they alone carried the last flame of Valyria. When Aegon the Conqueror marched into Westeros, it was not just with 3 dragons, it was with the might of a fallen empire reborn in miniature. Without the doom, the Freehold might still rule Essos, its dragons blotting out the skies. Without the doom, Westeros might never have been united. The Red Keep, the Iron Throne, the Wars of the Seven Kingdoms, all of it was born in the ashes of that cataclysm. And so the question lingers, who truly caused the doom of Valyria? Was it nature itself, punishing men who dug too greedily and used magic too recklessly? Was it the result of centuries of blood sorcery, a backlash of power turned against its masters? Was it the curse of the Ghiscari, vengeance from an empire long thought dead? Or was it the work of nameless powers beneath the earth, reminding mankind that there are limits even to dragons and sorcery? Perhaps the truth lies in some combination of them all. Perhaps the doom is not meant to be understood but feared. All we know is that in one day, the mightiest civilization in history was obliterated. Its secrets lost, its power scattered, and its memory haunting every throne that came after. And maybe that was the point. For what is fire and blood, if not the promise of destruction waiting to fall again? The Doom of Valyria remains one of George R.R. Martin's greatest mysteries. A story of glory, hubris, vengeance, and unanswered questions. What do you think caused the doom? Was it the earth, sorcery, or something darker still? Tell me your theory in the comments. And follow the Weirwood Tales for more secrets of ice, fire, and blood. Thank you for watching.